श्री गुरुदेव कृपाल की बलि।
मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्री जगद्गुरु मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अहो वकीयं स्तनकालकूटम् जिघांसयापा ययदप्यसाध्वी लेभे गतिं धात्र्युचितां ततोऽन्यम् कं वा दयालुं शरणं व्रजेम। अहो चित्रमहो चित्रं वन्दे तत्प्रेमबन्धनम् यद्बद्धं मुक्तिदं मुक्तं ब्रह्मक्रीडा भृगीकृतम् यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्मंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Dear devotees, please join me in a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan. After that, we'll talk about Guru and the science of divine dissensions. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda,
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 राधे गोविंदा, राधे राधे गोविंदा,
राधे 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 गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
गोविंदा गोविंदा गोविंदा, राधे 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 राधे गोविंदा,
राधे राधे 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 गोविंदा, राधे राधे गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
गोविंदा गोविंदा गोविंदा, राधे 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 राधे गोविंदा,
जो 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 राधे राधे गोविंदा,
गोविंदा गोविंदा गोविंदा, राधे राधे गोविंदा,
गोविंदा गोविंदा गोविंदा, राधे राधे गोविंदा,
राधे राधे 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 गोविंदा, राधे राधे गोविंदा, Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe Radhe Govinda.
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 बोलो श्रीमत सद्गुरु सरकार की
जय।
Radhe Radhe. This weekend, we're remembering the important day of the ascension of Jagadguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj. Everything in this world happens in a cycle. Whether it be material events or even divine events, they all happen in a cyclical way. In the divine world, everything is permanent and stable, but in this world, everything has a beginning and an end. We're very familiar with this in our own material lives. Everything we see one day began, has a lifespan that we can observe in which it continually deteriorates, and in the end it finishes. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. इह संसारे खलु दुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे भज गोविंदम गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते. Jagadguru Shankaracharya talks about ordinary souls and the big cycle of birth and death that we go through over and over again. Entering the womb of our mother, hanging upside down in the womb, being born into this world, aging and dying, and again entering the womb of another woman, hanging upside down, being born, and on and on and on. So material people are subject to the cycles of this world, but saints and God who are not bound by Maya but come in this Mayic world, they also abide by this rule of the cycles of Maya. So when saints come in this world, they also have to go back. When God comes in this world, He also goes back. They also follow the same cyclical style. Of course, the way that saints and God follow this cycle is divine and glorious and pre-planned. It's all a divine leela. And we go through it like clothes go around in the washing machine or around in the dryer, just thrown around without a choice. But nonetheless, material beings and divine personalities both follow the cyclical nature of this material world. So we understand our own situation, that we are bound by Maya, and thus we are subjected to this cycle of birth and death. But let's focus on the saints and God. there are three types of saints in general. There are Sadhan Siddh Mahapurush, Nitya Siddh Mahapurush, and there is God himself who descends in this world. Although there is no substantial or significant difference between a saint and God after God realization, tasmin stajjane bheda bhavat, Narad Bhakti Darshan. Naradji says, the God-realized saint and God are one. There is no difference between them. Nonetheless, a soul is still a soul and God is still God, even after God realization, even though the soul is now in possession of all of God's divine powers. So internally, there's no difference between the soul and God. But constitutionally speaking, the soul is still a soul. The soul has not become God. So we can still classify them separately and say that, okay, there's a Sadhana Siddh Mahapurush. That means someone was an ordinary soul like us, bound by Maya. They were born just like we heard Shankaracharya describing. They were born in this life as well, put in the womb of the woman who was to be their mother, hanging upside down, being born after 9 months, continuing to suffer in this world, but in this life they completed their devotion, and with the grace of their guru, they became God-realized and were freed from the bondage of Maya and the cycle of birth and death. But even after that, they continued to live in this world, because just like God and saints follow the rule of the cyclical nature of Maya, even though they're not bound by Maya, similarly, a saint, even a Sadhana Siddh Mahapurush, who is no longer bound by Maya or karma, destiny, he's free from all of that. Nonetheless, they continue to follow the rules of Maya. So they will live out the rest of their life. Whatever they were destined before their birth, whatever was the length of their life that they were destined to live, they will stay on the earth for the remainder of that time, even after God realization. So that Sadhana Siddh Mahapurush continues to live in the world, even though they are now free from Maya and God realized. We call them Sadhana Siddh because they did sadhana and attained siddhi. They attained perfection through the practice of devotion. Then we have Nitya Siddh Mahapurush. They are descended saints. They also came in this world, but not like an ordinary soul who, because they're not God-realized, so they died, they finished their last life. Then, according to their karma, how many good and bad actions they did, how much devotion they did, how much their mind was attached to God or in the world, accordingly, they're given a birth in a specific family in this life. A Nitya Siddh Mahapurush isn't like that. The Nitya Siddh Mahapurush is already God-realized, living in the divine world, and with the will of God, decides to come and visit this earth. Not on vacation, like we take a break from our work or our family and we go on a vacation to rejuvenate. No, the saints don't need a break from living in Golok. They're perfectly happy over there. Coming here is more like a tapasya. But actually they come happily because it's a service to Radha and Krishna. Radha and Krishna have a deep desire to see their children find divine bliss. They want all of their children to reach them. So the saints do it as a seva to their beloved Radha and Krishna, to come in this world and guide the souls and inspire the souls to do devotion and reach their divine home. So they come in this world and it's pre-planned. But nonetheless, they take birth in this world. They stay for a pre-planned amount of time, establish a mission or perform divine actions according to the will of God, and after the pre-decided number of years, they go back. Could be 32 years like Shankaracharya, 48 years like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji, more than 100 years like Tulsidas Ji. It all depends on the divine plan. But they also go back. This is Nitya Siddh. Nitya means eternally God realized, and they take a dissension in this world. Then we have dissensions of God in the form of a guru. For instance, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji, Radha Krishna coming together as one in the form of a saint, in disguise as a saint. The difference between that and their avatar from 5,000 years ago is that 5,000 years ago they only interacted with saints. Their parikar from the divine world also descended in great numbers, in millions, and populated the whole Braj area and much of India where they lived. So they only interacted with those divine saints during their leelas. But when Radha Krishna came in disguise as a guru, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji, of course, some main divine associates descended with them from the divine world to take part in their mission. But they didn't just restrict their interactions with those saints. They primarily came in order to interact with the ordinary souls. So they behaved as a guru. But in this case also, they came, they appeared, and went back. In the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji, after 48 years. Now, even in the case of Sri Krishna, 5,000 years ago, he also came and went. Now, to gain some appreciation for how all of this is pre-planned and how both the coming and going are auspicious and glorious, let's just briefly have a look at what happened in the case of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is omnipresent. He resides in the heart of every soul, and he also resides in his Golok abode. "5,000 years ago, the earth was burdened with many demons like Kans and Jarasandh, and a majority of people following adharma instead of dharma. So the rishis, munis, the celestial gods, they all became disturbed by the situation. Mother Earth herself became disturbed and was overburdened by all of the kings and all of the rakshas. So they all got together, and along with Bhagwan Shivji, they went to Brahma. And they asked, what do? We need some help. This situation is unbearable. So Brahma suggested that we need the help of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So let us pray to him. So they prayed to him and expressed their distress. And Shri Krishna told them, yes, I will come. I will relieve the earth of this burden. I will help the devtas. I will restore dharma on earth. Sometime later, it's described in the Bhagavatam that Shri Krishna entered the mind of Vasudeva and Devaki. They were imprisoned by Kans, and there in the dungeon, Shri Krishna just entered the mind of Vasudeva and entered the mind of Devaki, and all of a sudden they were glowing like God themselves. Kans even noticed, and he realized Krishna has come inside of them. I'm in trouble. He's going to appear soon. So at that point, although we say Krishna entered the belly of Devaki, because all the, again, gods and goddesses, celestial gods and goddesses, Brahma, Shiva, they all came and did stuti. They sang the praises of Shri Krishna. It's called Garbha Stuti. Garbh means the womb. But actually, there's no description of Krishna in the womb. He's in her mind. He's impregnated her mind, and she's completely pervaded by that divine bliss. So they all came now in the dungeon and sang Shri Krishna's praises, because now it's inevitable. Now they know the time is coming. He's going to appear soon. So that took place. They again left, went back to their respective abodes, and sometime after that, Shri Krishna appeared before Devaki and Vasudeva. He just manifested himself in his full-grown form. Tamadbhutam balakamam bhujekshanam chaturbhujam Shankhagadar Yudayudham Shrivatsalakshmam Bhuja Shobhikaustubham Galashobhikaustubham Pitambaram Sandrapayodasaubhagam. The Bhagavatam tells that he appeared in his full-grown form before Devaki and Vasudeva. And then it was their turn to sing his stuti. Tvattosya janmasthiti sanyaman vibho vadantyaniha dagunada vikriyat Tvayishvare brahmanino virudhyate. Vasudeva Ji is saying, "Oh, Shri Krishna, who can understand you? You are completely beyond comprehension. You are the source of this entire universe, and you pervade this entire universe. And the three gunas of Maya operate with your energy that you provide to them, and yet you are beyond Sattvarajtam. You are beyond Maya. You are the abode of simultaneous opposites. You are such a paradox. Who can understand you? You are both with form and without form. You are both within this world and beyond this world. You perform all the actions and yet you are actionless. You are in the world and yet you are untouched by the qualities of the world. No one can understand your divine status." Even Brahma says, "Naham nayuyam yadritam gatim vidur navamadeva kimuta pare sura tanmaya mohita buddhayam vitas vinirmitam chatma samam prachakshmahe." Bhagavatam, he says we can only he's referring to himself, Naradji, Bhagwan Shiv, Sanakadik, we can speculate about who you are and what your greatness and glory is. But by doing that, we're only expressing how far our mind can reach. We're not actually telling the full extent of your greatness and glory. We're only telling the extent of our intellectual ability. But you are much more beyond that. So Shri Krishna appeared. Then you all know the story, how he became a small baby and began his childhood leelas. So his appearance was pre-planned, a divine orchestrated event. And after 125 years after he had revealed the bliss of Brajras and Maharas, and he had gone to Mathura and Dwarika and revealed the Gita and fought the Mahabharata and revealed more knowledge in his conversation with Uddhav, which is recorded in the Bhagavatam, and then arranged for the destruction of all of his relatives and offspring so that they would not be a burden on the earth. After all of that, again those Devtas came to him, and Shivji and Brahma, and they came to him and said, my Lord, you've been here for 125 years, and you have accomplished everything we asked you to do. So now it is our prayer to you that if you consider it an auspicious time, you may return to your divine abode. Shri Krishna says, yes, I've already decided all of this. You may return to your respective abodes. So actually after that, Shri Krishna arranged the leela of all of his relatives having a big fight and destroying each other so that they wouldn't be a burden to the earth. Actually, many of them were also Devtas who had come with the will of Shri Krishna to be a part of his leelas here on earth, so it was their time to go back anyway. After that, Shri Krishna went to the bank of the Saraswati River, found a nice big pipal tree, sat relaxing beneath it, leaned up against it, crossed one leg over the other with the sole of one of his feet facing up. And that sole was so beautiful and pink that, well, there was a hunter who was looking for deer in the forest and hunting with his bow and arrow. And the arrowhead was part of there was a mace that had been cursed by some Brahmins. Some of the boys in Dwarika, they had made fun of some Brahmins using a mace to pretend they were pregnant. Anyway, it's a long story. So they had cursed that mace and said, this is going to be the destruction of the Yadu clan, Krishna's lineage. So they were afraid of it, so they ground it up into tiny pieces and threw it in the ocean. But then that got absorbed into some grasses growing on the beach. So one fine day when they all got in an argument and started fighting with each other, they picked up these grasses, and since they had absorbed that metal, they became like swords, and they all cut each other up with those. But one bigger piece of that had washed ashore, and that hunter found it and fashioned it into an arrowhead. So it was all a part of Krishna's pre-planned leela. It was his will that those Brahmins would give a curse and this would happen. So it was the grace of the Brahmins and the will of Shri Krishna that arrowhead had that power. Now this hunter saw Shri Krishna from a distance and saw the sole, the pinkish sole of his foot, and mistook it for the mouth of a deer, and from a distance fired his arrow, and that arrow pierced the sole of Krishna's foot. That hunter came and fell at the feet of Krishna and bowed down and begged forgiveness. And Shri Krishna says, you have nothing to be afraid of. You have done all of this with my will. So he sent him to Swarg, actually. And Shri Krishna was now ready to leave for his divine abode. So again, Brahma, Shiva, all the celestial gods and goddesses, Munis, Rishis, they all came to witness this final divine event. And right before their eyes, Shri Krishna vanished and entered into his divine abode. And the Bhagavatam says that they were also mystified. They wanted to see, like, oh, I want to see him enter. I want to see him leave this world and enter his divine abode. But it was like trying to follow the lightning. Like lightning flashes in the clouds, but then where did it go? It's gone. They were all mystified. So Shri Krishna's appearance, his leelas while he was here, and his final disappearance is beyond the understanding of even Brahma and Shiva. Karmanyani hasya bhavo bhavasya te Durga shrayo thari bhayat palayanam Svatman rate kalatmano yat pramadayutashraya Svatman rate Khidyati dhir vidamiha. Bhagavatam. Brahma is saying, no one can understand Krishna's appearance, any of his leelas, or his disappearance. He says, he is Atmaram Purnakam. He is self-complacent, so he has no reason to do anything, and yet he performs so many actions. He creates the universe, he takes avatar, he does things like stealing butter, fighting wars, telling Gita, and yet he apparently has no reason to do anything because he's already blissful and has no personal desire. He is Ajaha. He's unborn because he's eternal and he's the source and origin of everyone and everything. And yet he comes in this world and he becomes the son of Devaki and Vasudeva and the son of Nanda Baba and Yashoda. So he turns the definition of God of Vedas upside down. God is supposed to be unborn and the father of all, and yet he has become someone's son and he has taken birth in Braj. Who can understand such leelas? He is the god of death. Yamraj, death personified, is Shri Krishna's servant. So, from whom should Shri Krishna feel any fear? When death himself trembles before Shri Krishna and waits for his agya, then who is Shri Krishna going to be afraid of? And yet he is seen to be leaving the battlefield out of fear and running from Jarasandha, who was a powerful Rakshas, but Shri Krishna, who manifests and destroys this entire universe with a mere thought, he resides in the heart of every living being. For him, what is one Rakshas, no matter how powerful he is? And yet, he hightailed it out of Mathura. Both he and Balram ran and kept running without even looking back and didn't even stop at the coast. They went off and found themselves an island and built a whole new city over there. So how is he being so cowardly and fearful? No one can. If you apply your intellect or if you observe such a Leela, you'll become totally confused if you try to understand it with material logic. He has no desires, and yet he married 16,108 queens. He is totally self-complacent, and yet he is seen doing ras with all of the gopis. Khidyati dhir vidamiha. Brahma says, even the intellect of great, the most intelligent people, khidyati. Just like a car running out of gas. It's just like, after a while, your intellect gives up. I don't get it. I can't understand. It's beyond my power. Such are Shri Krishna's Leelas. So we see that everything he does while he's here is divine and beyond material understanding. His appearance is beyond the understanding of even rishis, munis, devtas, and divine beings like Brahma and Shiva. And his disappearance, his Mahaprayan, is also beyond the understanding of such even great divine beings. So this actually goes for Shri Krishna, and saints are no less. Saints who come in this world and go back to the divine world, they also follow a similar divine plan. With the grace and will of Shri Krishna, they come in this world and they go back. Asyapi deva vapusho madanugrahasya svechamayasya natu bhutamayasya kopi. Bhagavatam. Brahma says to Shri Krishna, Svechamayasya natu bhutamayasya kopi. Your body is made of divine substance and you manifest it in this world of your own divine will. Your body is not made of material elements. And you come in this world out of your own desire to grace the souls. It is your own mercy that causes you to come in this world. Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karmabhi shravana smaranarhani karishyan nitikechana. Bhagavatam. Brahma goes on to say that, oh Shri Krishna, you appear in this world, and even though no one can understand the logic behind your Leelas, yet those Leelas are so divine and so purifying that if anyone hears those Leelas and faithfully remembers them, they purify their heart and it becomes a very easy means of crossing over this ocean of Maya. You are so gracious that you come in this world and reveal those Leelas so the souls have an easy way to reach you. The souls of Kali Yuga, whose minds are so wrapped up in the distractions of this material world, even for them, God realization becomes easy when they take the help of your divine Leelas. Having understood all of this, we can understand that someone of the divine status of Jagadguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj, whether you see him as a Nitya Siddh Mahapurush, whether you see him as someone in the status of Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, whether you see him as Radha Krishna, it's easy to understand, or it's natural to see that his appearance, his life, and his ascension or Mahaprayan also would follow a similar pattern, pre-planned and gracious and glorious in every aspect. Shri Maharaj Ji appeared on Sharad Purnima, the full moon of the month of Ashwin. It's called the full moon of Sharad Ritu, the autumn time. He appeared at midnight, the same time that Maharas had happened. He stayed on the earth for almost 92 years. And he began his what we call Leela Samvaran. Samvaran means like wrapping it up. Just like Shri Krishna, the Devtas came to him and, prayed to him, thanked him for accomplishing all of their objectives and said, if it pleases you, you may return to your divine abode. In other words, he's starting to wrap things up, getting ready to go back. So, saints also, someone of the caliber of Shri Maharaj Ji, we call it by this respectful term, Leela Samvaran. He started wrapping up his visible Leelas in this world. So that actually took place on Amla Naumi. It's also called Radha Naumi. There's one day of the year in Radharani Mandir, like anywhere there's a murti of Radharani in Braj, there's a tradition that on Amla Naumi, which is the 9th night after the new moon, so the moon is building towards the full moon, it's building towards Kartik Purnima. So the 9th night is called Naumi. So on Amla Naumi, the darshan of Radharani's charan happens one day in the year. So on that day, Maharaj Ji began his Leela Samvaran. So we have the Leela Samvaran Sthali in Mangar, the place just outside of Maharaj Ji's residence where he was walking. He was taking his mid-morning walk. And at that time, he entered into a bhav state. And from that time, he never returned to a normal awareness of the material world around him. Many of us, either in person or on video, we've witnessed Maharaj Ji during other times in his life, how he would enter for a brief time or an extended period of time into this type of bhavavesh, where he's completely immersed in the divine leelas of Radha Krishna, and he's no longer seeing or interacting with the material world. Whereas most of the time, he's got one foot in each world. He's seeing Radha Krishna, but he's also seeing us, and he's behaving in this world. When he enters into such a bhav state, then this world is just, the whole thing is just the divine world for him. So he enters into that elevated, ecstatic state. And during his life, this happened thousands of times. But when he began his Leela Samvaran, he entered into such a divine, ecstatic state and remained in that state. So this happened on Amla Naumi. So this year, the date was November 17th. And 4 days later, so Naumi means the 9th moon night, on the 13th, Trayodashi, so 2 days before the full moon of Kartik, was the Mahaprayan, Divas. Just like Shri Krishna, on a specific day, at a specific time, he disappeared from this world. So Shri Maharaj Ji ascended to his divine abode on the Trayodashi day, the 13th day. This year it was the 21st of November. At the time that it happened, it was a emotional time, a shocking time for all of us, that, oh, Maharaji told us that even God leaves this world when he comes, but none of us thought it would be so soon. None of us really wanted to believe that day would come. So at that time it was difficult to process, and yet just like Radha Krishna disappearing from this world, it's as glorious a day as their appearance. It's all part of the cycle, and it all establishes the divine greatness of that divine personality in this world. So just like their appearance happens in a divine way and establishes the status, the greatness of that personality, the manner of their disappearance, or their prayan means departure, Mahaprayan, the divine departure or ascension back to the divine world, also is part of the divine Leela that completes the cycle and establishes the greatness and divinity of that personality. So Mahaprayan Divas, it was part of Maharaji's Leela. It was pre-planned. We can guess that when such a great divine personality descends on this earth, there are many objectives that are pre-decided that this divine personality is going to accomplish. And when those objectives have been met, there's a time that comes when it's in the best interest of the souls for that divine personality to wrap up their visible leelas on this earth. So for today, this is what we can think about, that just like Krishna's avatar and then disappearance from this world, Shri Maharaji's appearance and then his Mahaprayan, it all happened in a divine, pre-planned and glorious way. When we visit Mangar and we get a chance to visit that Leela Samvaran Sthali, you can feel the divinity of that place. You can feel the vibration of Shri Maharaji there, and you know that he's still there in Mangar, even though he's not visible to ordinary material eyes. So we can remember that for today. That's a good start to this intensive and our remembrance of this important day in the Leelas of Shri Maharaji. Tomorrow evening at this time, I'll continue on this topic and talk about some of the, although Maharaji's Leelas and his dissension and disappearance, they're all beyond our mind and our thinking, but we can still appreciate some of the things that Shri Maharaji accomplished and understand that the things he did in his life were also pre-planned. So what were some of these highlights, some of the, just like Shri Krishna coming and accomplishing certain things and going back, we can draw some parallels with the life of Shri Maharaji. So we'll understand more about that in tomorrow's lecture. Puli Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki